صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله. يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة ويا عبرة كل مؤمن ومؤمنة يا ليتنا كنا معكم سيدي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وما أبرئ نفسي إن النفس لأمارة بالسوء إلا ما رحم ربي إن ربي غفور رحيم. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Let us illuminate our majlis with the recitation of aloud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. To hasten the reappearance of our 12th Imam, a second one in the loudest of your voices. Dear respected elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The narration from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa tells us that we are faced with many enemies. As believers, we are faced with multiple enemies. He says in a narration, he says, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله المؤمن بين خمس شدائد. A mu'min has 5 challenges and enemies and hardships. Number 1 is mu'minun yahsuduh. The first is a fellow believer who envies him. One enemy that might be faced, that a mu'min might be faced with, is another believer, another individual who envies him, who sees that this individual is succeeding, is going places in life, is doing well in life. They envy them. They wish that they had something like that. Or they wish for their downfall, and they don't like to see people succeed. That's a sickness that some people have, and that causes them to become enemies towards another believer who they should be friends with. That's number 1. Number 2, وَمُنَافِقٌ يُبْغِضُهُ, or a hypocrite who hates him, who dislikes him. The same way you'll have believers who might envy you, you'll also have people who actually don't like what you're doing. Not just the fact that they don't want to see you succeed, rather they hate the acts that you are doing in life and they dislike you. Number 3, وَكَافِرٌ يُقَاتِلُهُ, and a disbeliever who fights him. A disbeliever, someone who's an enemy towards you again, will fight you. Number 4, وَشَيْطَانٌ يُضِلُّهُ, and a devil, a shaitan, who would misguide him. This is the 4th enemy. The shaitan, who is in our ears, making us deviate, trying to deviate us, trying to pull us away from the path that we're on. And number 5, وَنَفْسٍ تُنَازِعُهُ, and a soul, a nafs, that conflicts with him, that struggles with him, that tries to defeat him. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa he says, فَبَيْنَ أَنَّ النَّفْسَ عَدُوٌ مُنَازِعٌ يَجِبْ مُجَاهَدَتُهَا. Since the nafs, the soul, is a very competitive enemy for a believer, for a mu'min, then a mu'min must face that enemy, must challenge that enemy, must fight against that enemy and stand up and struggle against this enemy. So the question of who our biggest enemy is and who a believer's biggest enemy is truly in this hadith. The answer lies within this hadith. Is that the person's nafs, the person's soul, is your biggest enemy, is what wants to take you down the most, is a very competitive and a contentious enemy for every believer. Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam is narrated, he says, مَا الدَّابَّةُ الْجُمُوحُ بِأَحْوَجِ إِلَى اللِّجَامِ الشَّدِيدِ مِنْ نَفْسِكَ. He says there's no creature, no animal that is more in need of being controlled, of being tied down, the same way you tie an animal and a horse, for example, or a dog to a leash, the same way you control that animal to not run away, to not attack, to not bite. The strongest, the worst, there's no creature more in need of that stronghold than your own soul, than your own nafs. And the scholars, they explain this to us. They give us analogies about this. They tell us that the soul is just like a fierce predator. It's like a predator. The moment you turn your eye away from this predator, it will pounce on you. It will jump. So when you have children and you're outside and you see a pack of wolves, are you going to leave your children to be? Let them go? Are you going to ignore them? No. You're going to focus your utmost attention on those children, so that any moment, if you look away, they might pounce, the wolves might pounce on your child. You don't want that to happen. You will never turn an eye away from your children to protect them. And so the same way, you have to pay attention, watch over your children. You have to watch over your soul, watch over your nafs, discipline yourself, have self-discipline and firm control so that it doesn't pounce and destroy you. So this nafs that is within us, it's truly like the verse that I mentioned in the Holy Quran, إِنَّ النَّفْسَ لَأَمَّارَةٌ بِالسُّوءِ. The nafs is attached, it leans towards evil. It leans towards evil. It is attached, it is attracted to evil. We must be careful. We must contain it. We must protect ourselves and prevent it from falling into evil. So how do we do that? First of all, what are certain aspects that our nafs will attack us through? Will cause sicknesses, illnesses, diseases within us. And how do we attack those? We'll address that after loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Number one way where your soul, where your nafs will attack and will basically show up to be a negative creature and a negative form is through ego, through making you think you are greater than what you really are, or making you assume to think and feel that you are more superior to others. It's very common. Many of us, we start getting fame, we start getting attention, we start getting people to look at us, to recognize us, and immediately our ego bounces. We think we're special. We think that we have a superiority over other individuals. So we act differently, we talk differently, we walk differently, we don't approach people, we don't go say salam to certain people, we expect them to come say salam to us. There's a beautiful story by a sheikh by the name of Sheikh Muhammad Mahdi al-Naraqi. This sheikh is known to be the author of a book by the name of Jami' al-Sa'adat. This book is an amazing book filled with akhlaqi content. It's all about akhlaq. And they study this in houses, they study this book of akhlaq in houses. And so he's always telling us how to maintain, control our nafs, control our desires, control our anger, and steps in which we can do that. So this individual, this sheikh, one day, he goes towards Najaf. He goes to visit Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. And he's a prominent sheikh. And Najaf is full of scholars and full of ulama and maraji' and people who are followed. So it's a very knowledgeable city. So when he goes there, people want to visit him. People want to see him. They want to meet him, this famous scholar. And that's the tradition back in the day. When a guest comes into the city, you get up, you go and you visit him. You go and you see the scholar. So everyone came to visit him. Scholar after scholar came to visit Shaykh al-Naraqi. Except for one scholar. And this was Sayyid Bahr al-Ulum, who was the highest scholar at the time in Najaf. He didn't come to visit him. He didn't come to say salam to the Shaykh. And so they came and they told him, how he hasn't come? How come he hasn't come? What does the Shaykh respond? He says, that's fine. I'm okay with it. I will go and visit him. He hasn't come to visit me. Let's go. Come with me. We'll go and visit him. So the Shaykh gathers some of his members of his class, and they go towards Sayyid Bahr al-Ulum's home. They knock on his door. He doesn't receive them well. He lets them come. He says salam to them very quickly, and he lets them go. He doesn't receive them very well. So they leave. Now that they have left, they have returned home, it is normal that, okay, it's the most basic thing that we can expect is that he will return the favor now. Since we said salam, he will come back and visit us. He didn't come to visit him, to visit the Shaykh. The Shaykh, once again, he told them that's fine. We'll go visit him again. It's okay with me, let's go. They go, they visit him the second time. The same thing. He doesn't welcome them. He doesn't receive them in high status. Just a regular reception, and then he lets them go. The storyteller says that it was as if he was disrespecting the Shaykh. As if he didn't even consider him a scholar. He went back. Once again, they expected him to come. Nothing. They told him, what's going on? They told the Shaykh, why do you think this is happening? He said, it's fine. We'll go a third time. I'll go and visit him as many times as I have to. He's a high scholar, highly respected scholar. I will go and continue to visit him. So the third time when they went and he knocked on his door, they told him, Shaykh al-Naraqi is at your door. He wants to come in. He wants to visit you. The Sayyid suddenly got up. He got up. He rushed towards the door. He opened the door himself. He hugged the Shaykh. He embraced him. He welcomed him into the home. He brought him down. He sat him down into his own chair. And he gave him a proper reception. A reception of a scholar. A reception of anyone who is respected. He took care of him. He said, bring him whatever he wants. You want to stay with us tonight? Stay with us tonight. And he took good care of him. And then he said, I read your entire book. From start to end. This book that you wrote. This book of akhlaq. How to train your soul. How to train your nafs. I read the whole thing. From start to end. And it was amazing. One of the greatest books that I've ever read. But I wanted to test you. I wanted to see, were you just saying these things? Or do you actually live by them? Do you actually mean it? And it turns out you truly do mean it. Me not welcoming you and not receiving you properly, and yet you still defeated your ego. You still challenged your ego, and you came and visited me again and again. This is what the scholars teach us. This scholar, he wrote it. He couldn't have wrote such a thing if he didn't believe in it, if he didn't act upon it. You want to succeed in life? This is an example. Anything you say in life, it will not reciprocate and it will not touch the believers' hearts if you don't act upon it. If you don't live by it, you will not have any impact. That's why this book is so impactful. And so many scholars today learn from this book because he lived by it. He acted according to it. He trained his nafs and his soul to not pounce upon him, and he had control over it. This is how we must act, brothers and sisters. We must control our ego. We mustn't look at others as inferior to us, as less than us, as us being more special than them. Just because of, our college degree, our university degree, our work, our job, or whatever it may be, or the amount of money that we make, we must not consider them to be less than us. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. That's the first way in which your soul will attack you. It'll make you think you are special, make you have an ego, make you think you're greater than others. And it is the greatest of sins that we can commit. The shaitan, the first sin he committed was because of his ego. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked him to prostrate to Adam, he refused. He said, you created me from fire, you created him from dust. Why? From clay. Why should I prostrate to Adam? It was his ego that caused him to become shaitan, become the devil that he is today. So we must be careful and not let our ego get to us. That's number one. Number two is through our anger. We have this anger that's within us that we must always control, always subdue, not let it get out. Hold on to this anger. Don't show people this anger. Don't react to certain situations with anger. To protect ourselves, to control our nafs. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, he saw one day, there was commotion. He went and saw that a man was carrying a big rock. And so he asked them, what's happening here? What's going on? They said, this man is carrying this extremely heavy rock. This rock is known as the rock of the strong individuals, the strong people, the strong rock. Only the strongest of men can carry this rock. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, he used this moment to teach them a lesson. Everyone's impressed that a man is strong, he's powerful, he's carrying a rock. He tells them, let me tell you of something or someone who's more stronger than someone who can carry this rock. The one who is more stronger than the individual who carries this rock is the one when رَجُلٌ سَبَّهُ رَجُلٌ فَحَلِمَ عَنْهُ. The one who swears at him. Another man swears at him and he has patience. He has forbearance. He doesn't react. He restrains himself. He defeats his own soul. That's what it means to have strength. When you were attacked, when you were confronted with a problem, with someone who is aggressive towards you, who is harassing you, and you have patience, and you control yourself, and you don't react, and you don't extremely fight, you don't fight back at them and cause a bigger problem. Another story from a scholar by the name of Al-Akhund al-Khurasani. Our scholars are truly a great example of how we must learn to behave, how we must act. This scholar, this sheikh, he is also very popular in a book that he wrote. He's known as Sahib al-Kifaya. He wrote the book of Al-Kifaya, which is a book that is studied in the houses as well. You want to reach ijtihad, you must study this book, basically memorize this book of usul, of jurisprudence and principles of jurisprudence. This sheikh, in his classes, he would have a rule. His rule was that when we're discussing, when I'm having the lecture, no questions. You have a question, a concern, come to me, ask me after the class. Very basic, simple rule. So he doesn't cause distraction to the class, so he doesn't have his train of thought lost. It's a rule that he has as a teacher, as a scholar. So one day, a student, he wanted to be that guy. He wanted to challenge the sheikh in front of everybody. So he stood up when the sheikh said something. He challenged him. He said, I disagree with your opinion on this. I disagree. I think it's something else. I think your approach is incorrect. The sheikh tells him, my dear student, we'll talk about it after the class. Come to me after class and I will discuss this with you. And I would love to hear from you and hear your opinion. And we will discuss this and debate this if you would like. He said, no, right now. And he began insulting the sheikh. He began telling him, you are an old man. You're an old man now. You became old and till now you don't want to face others in front of others. You're not a man. You're not acting like a man. You can't address a challenge towards you that is in front of other people. Why does it have to be in private? Look at this insult. He's insulting the sheikh. He's calling him, he's saying, you're not even a man. The sheikh, he takes a moment. Everyone's stunned in the classroom. How did this guy just say this to the scholar, to the sheikh? They're all looking at him, waiting to see what his response is. He lifts his head after thinking and contemplating for a moment, tells him, yes, you're right. You're right, I am an old man. And I'm not a decent man. And then he begins and addresses his situation. Imagine, you're a scholar, you're author of a book, you're basically marja' taqleed. People follow you, respect you, and a student comes and wants to challenge you. And even then, you're patient, controls his anger. He doesn't let his anger get a hold of him. He takes a moment to contemplate, to remind himself, to control his nafs, to control the way he will react so that it doesn't take hold of him. The moment you're faced with this situation and you let go, you give in to your nafs, you give in to your soul, now it'll be harder to fight back. It'll be harder to leash yourself, and you'll just keep falling deeper and deeper into problems. If you don't hold on to it in the beginning, it'll get harder and more difficult for you to control your nafs, to control your anger. We must not let things get to us. You're faced with a challenge once again, don't fight back with your words. Like we mentioned from the story of Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam yesterday, fight with kindness and generosity. Respond with kindness and generosity. And that's how the way of the Ahlul Bayt is. They don't get angry. We've all heard the story of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam in battle, when he took down his enemy and he was about to finish him. And this man on the ground, he spits at Amir al-Mu'mineen right before he finishes him. Imam Ali alayhi salam at that moment got furious. He got up. He left the man. He left him. He took a few moments. He didn't finish him off. And then he came back and then he finished the man. When they asked him, why did you do that? He said, I didn't want to let my anger take control of me. I wanted to have control over my anger. I wanted me to killing this man be in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the truth, and not for out of anger and out of my own nafs controlling me in my soul. That's the shaitan. If I had killed him, it would have been because of the shaitan making me kill him out of anger and spite for what he did. So we learn from the Ahlul Bayt, we learn these lessons from the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam on how we control our anger, how we control our soul and our nafs from taking over us and being in charge. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. That's the second way. Through anger, the nafs will use this power that it has within you, and it'll stimulate it, it'll charge it, so you release your anger, and then once you do, it takes control over you. You no longer have a say. How many times have you experienced when you're in a fight, or when you lose control, you get angry, you start saying things that you've never said before? It's no longer you. You can't control, you can't hold back anymore. The moment you let go, that first instinct, control yourself, prevent that from happening. That's number 2. Number 3, the way the soul and the nafs will attack us through attachment to this world. It'll make us feel attached and connected to this world. It'll make us love this dunya that is very useless. It has no value in it. We will leave behind. It'll attach you to it. It'll make you love it. It'll make you chase after it. Go after this world constantly. And you will see no success when you do that. You'll see no happiness in life when you do that. Why? Because it's going to vanish. It does not stay. It does not remain with us. We don't take this with us to the afterlife. A beautiful story told to us by the scholar about the history of a king. A king was once sitting in his palace, on his throne, and he was looking at outside on the front porch, just seeing people pass by, walking in front of his home, in front of this palace. He saw something strange one day. He noticed a man came knocking on the door, and the guards were turning him away. The man began asking, why are you turning me away from this hotel? Let me come. I want to stay in this hotel. Why are you turning me away from it? So he heard this. The king heard this and he was confused. Why is he calling my palace a hotel? He said, let him in. Let me talk to him. They let him in. He came towards the king. He began talking to the king. He told him, he said, what are you calling my palace a hotel for? What do you mean? He says, let me ask you a question. Who did this palace belong to before you? He said, to my father. My father was also the king. He said, okay, and before him, who did the palace belong to? He said, also to his father. It's been going from from father to son. That's how it is. He said, then after you, who will this palace belong to? He said, to my son. I'll pass it down to him and he will own this palace. He said, then isn't that what a hotel is? Isn't a hotel a place where people, visitors, travelers, they come, they stay a night, and then they leave? The next day, they prepare themselves and they leave. You came, you're staying for a few nights in this palace that you're claiming to be yours, but in reality, you're going to leave behind, and you're going to leave it. You're not going to stay in this palace forever. The scholar, he uses this once again as a lesson. He says, think about this for a moment. Think about it. Do we ever go to a hotel room and we're attached to that hotel room? Do we ever feel a connection to that hotel room that makes us feel like we don't want to leave anymore? No, nothing belongs to us. The bed doesn't belong to us. The shower doesn't belong to us. The chairs that are there, the rugs, whatever it might be. Nothing belongs to us in that hotel room. We're just using it and then we're leaving. Why do we consider the things that belong to us materialistically that they belong to us? They don't. They don't. Our home, our car, our children, our family, ourselves, our bodies. Even our body does not belong to us. Even our body is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's gift upon us and will be returned back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we die, we will lose that body. The verse of the Holy Quran says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ما عندكم ينفذ وما عند الله باق ولنجزين الذين صبروا أجرهم بأحسن ما كانوا يعملون. What is with you, what belongs to you, will disappear, will vanish. But with what's with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will remain forever. Will never vanish. And we will reward those who act that way, who chase that is from what Allah has. When you reach that, when you search for that, you will be rewarded. That's the reality. Is that at any moment, we don't get to choose when it happens. At any moment, our time will come. We will depart this world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't wait for our call. He doesn't wait for when we're ready to leave this earth and He will let us leave. No. It's at any moment. Do we want to be attached to this world? If we're attached, it's so much harder to leave. It's so much more difficult for us to let go. The struggle of death will be way more difficult upon us. As well as after death, in barzakh, in the hisab, when we're held accountable. If we have been attached to so many things, and if we held on and hoarded so many things, we will be questioned upon them. We will have to wait longer lines on the Day of Judgment to get towards our destination, to get to our judgment of heaven or hell. Because we will be constantly asked, what did you do with your money? What did you do with your health? How did you act? What did you do with your family, your children, your car, your home, everything that belonged to you, or so you thought? What happened? How did you use it? How did you spend it? We will be asked and questioned about that. And once again, at any moment, our life is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there's a sad story that a teacher of mine once said. And it's truly a heartbreaking story. And I ask you to forgive me when I say this. But it reminds us of how easy it is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at any moment to remind us of death. There was the sheikh, he went to a new city, And a man welcomed him into his home. He invited him into his house. He welcomed him, he brought him to the house, and he gave him a tour to the house. It was a very nice house. His house was a mansion, basically. He took him outside. There was a swimming pool, a patio. They went back inside, and they had a majlis that day. He invited him for a majlis. So he sat prepared to give his majlis, his lecture, and he saw a young 3-year-old girl. She came towards him. She said salam to him. She introduced herself. She was just a young 3-year-old girl. And she sat during the entire lecture. Now the sheikh, he tells the story, he says, I left, I went back home, and only a few weeks later, I got a phone call. And it was from this father. And he was in pain, he was in distress. What happened? Are you okay? He was crying. He said, is everything all right? He said, no. He said, today I had to lift my 3-year-old daughter dead out of the pool. Because suddenly she went outside, she went walking by herself in the patio, and she fell in the pool and she drowned, and no one was there to save her. Just a 3-year-old girl. At any moment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses this as a lesson for us. That any moment can come and we will be returned to our Lord. And it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how much you've done in life. That's the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So these are certain ways, through your ego, through anger, through attachment to this world, this nafs that we have, this soul, will try to pull us away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Pull us away from the truth and the path of the righteousness. We have to struggle. We have to fight back. What are some specific ways that we can fight back? That we can restrain our soul? A narration from Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, he says, the struggle against the soul has 4 fronts. 4 fronts. To fight your soul, you have to fight it on 4 different fronts. Number 1 is to restrain your food intake. You might think this is something unusual. When an imam is telling you to restrain yourself from food, you might consider it unusual, random. If you hear it from a dietitian or a guru that tells you you should be careful what you eat because you are what you eat, the food that you eat will take control of you, you'll listen to them. The imam is telling us this. You have to be careful what you eat. You have to be careful how much you eat, because it's a desire. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this desire, and it's a desire that we must fulfill, we need, because if we don't eat, we will die. But only so much of it do we need to fulfill. We often go excessive. We often overeat. We often get carried away with the amount of food that we eat. And when you do, you get tired, you get drowsy, you get distracted, you forget to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what happens when you excessively eat. And so he says restraining food intake is the first thing. Why? Because when you limit your food, your desires die. It kills this desire. When you tell yourself, I don't care about this burger, I'm eating it only because I have to. This controls your desire. Don't get attached to it and eat it because you want to eat burgers. Today I need to eat a burger. I have to. Why are you being picky about it? Why are you making your whole day, revolving your entire day around a certain meal? That destroys you. That's revolving your whole day around yourself and your nafs and your desire. When you do that, it'll take control over you. Control it before it takes control over you. That's number 1. Number 2 is to restrict your sleep. Many of us, we sleep throughout the entire day. We're awake all night and we sleep the whole day. This is a problem. When we're up all night and sleeping in the day and sleeping excessively, oversleeping. We sleep too much. When this happens, we're giving in to this desire. Once again, we're not supposed to sleep only, we sleep only what we have to. It's a need for us. It's something that we must fulfill. But only a certain amount, only a limited amount. More than that becomes excessive. He says from limiting sleep. Why? Because when you limit your sleep, your intentions become purified. Now you realize when you're tired, when you're sleepy, you realize the truth of why you're working, what you're doing, and who you're doing it for. It makes your intentions pure. That's number 2. Number 3 is to limit your speech, to talk less. Don't ramble on like I do for 45 minutes in front of you guys every day. Speak less. Less talking does what? It protects you from falling into sin, from affliction, from suffering. The more we speak, the more we talk, the more we fall into sin. The more we begin talking about other people, the more we begin backbiting, doing ghibah, doing the constant sins of the tongue and of the mouth. So restrict your speech. Speak less. A beautiful analogy was once given to me by my teacher. He says, imagine a water bottle. A water bottle like this. Maybe let's say it has less water. Okay? If this water bottle had very little water and you shake it, it'll make a lot of noise. It'll be extremely loud. But if you take a full water bottle, one that's completely full to the brim, and you shake it, it won't make any noise at all. No noise will come out of it. This is the same with human beings. The human being who has very little knowledge will talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. Will not stop talking. But the one who has complete knowledge, the highest of knowledge, the fullest extent of knowledge, doesn't talk much. And the hadiths tell us this. A sign of knowledge is silence. Someone who has knowledge stays silent. He remains silent. Only speaks when they're spoken to. Whereas someone who's limited knowledge, constantly over and over again, is speaking. So limit your speech, number 3, and number 4, by bearing harm from all people. Just taking it in, enduring harm, enduring pain. And it says through enduring the harm, one will attain their goal. One will be able to fulfill their goals. They'll reach their destination. They'll get places in life because you will have haters. You will have enemies. The same way your soul is your enemy, others will fight you too. They see you succeeding. They see you growing and doing well. They'll attack you. They'll try to take you down. They'll try to talk bad about you. You have to fight through it. And when you fight through it, you endure it. You gain a heart of steel, of iron. You don't let things get to you. You become stoic. Then you will make it places in life. You will reach your goals. Those are 4 ways where we must practice to restrain ourselves, to control our nafs, and to ensure that we don't fall into sin and fall into haram. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The moment we can constantly fall into sin, we give in to our desires, it reaches a point where it becomes very difficult, very difficult for us to release ourselves from these shackles. One day, Nabi Musa, Prophet Musa, he saw a man and he was praying and he was crying and weeping to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he was supplicating immensely, heavily, in prayer and supplication. So he thought, this man, he will be accepted. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he must have a high status in the eyes of Allah. When he went to speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him, no. Go and tell this man that no matter how much he cries, even if he cries until he dies, I will not accept from him. Why? He said, because لأن في بطنه حراما وعلى ظهره حراما وفي بيته حراما. He says, why? Because in his stomach is full of haram. He eats haram. He eats from money that is haram. On his back is clothing that is haram. At his home, there's items that are haram that don't belong to him, that he stole, for example. He's not letting go of those. He's just coming to me and asking me for things and praying for forgiveness. That's not how it works. Go and let go. Detach yourself from the haram. Take off those clothes that are haram. Wear clothes that are halal, that belong to you, that aren't from money that is haram. Stop eating haram. First practice that, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept from you. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant him his requests. And who else did this? Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, on the day of Ashura, he tells his son Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam, he says, فَقَدْ مُلِئَتْ بُطُونَهُم مِّنَ الْحَرَامِ فَاسْتَحْوَذَ عَلَيْهِمُ الشَّيْطَانِ فَأَنْسَاهُمْ ذِكْرَ اللَّهِ. Their hearts, their stomachs, their bellies is full of haram. So much haram has been indulged by them that they've reached a point that the shaitan has taken over. The shaitan has taken over them, and he has made them forget about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the people who fought against Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. He didn't control their nafs. They were so attached to this dunya, to this world. All they wanted was the monetary value from this world, and they fought and killed the grandson of Rasulullah, who was on the truth, who was on the haqq and the righteous path. Tonight we remember Ali al-Akbar. Ali al-Akbar, one day, the few days before the day of Ashura, on their way toward Karbala, Imam al-Hussein was saying, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. To Allah we belong, and to Him we shall return, in preparation, knowing that they will die. Ali al-Akbar looks to his father, he tells him, Oh my father, aren't we on the path of truth? Alasna ala al-haq? Aren't we on the true path, the correct path? Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, he tells him, yes, of course we are. Of course we're on the truth. Ali al-Akbar responds, he tells him, so then let it be that we die on the way of haqq. We're returning to our Lord. This is Ali al-Akbar, the one who Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam would say that he is the most resembling of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa. For whenever he missed Rasulullah, he would turn to his son Ali al-Akbar, and he would look at him, look in his face, and remember Rasulullah, remember his grandfather who he missed so dearly. On the day of Ashura, when they all asked to enter into the battlefield, when they had all fallen, Ali al-Akbar came to Imam al-Hussein. He asked him for permission to fight. Imam al-Hussein immediately granted him his request. No one else did he immediately grant request to but his son Ali al-Akbar, because it's his son. And he has to give his own son in the way of shahada, in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he granted him his request. Ali al-Akbar prepared himself, and he entered into the battlefield. He began calling out, Ana Ali ibn al-Husayn ibn Ali, Tallahi la yahkumu fina ibn al-Da'i, أضرب بالسيف أحامي عن أبي ضرب غلام هاشمي علوي. I am Ali al-Akbar, the son of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, and I will fight you till the last moment. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, he cried out, Allahumma ashhad faqad baraza ilayhim ghulam ashbahu an-nasi khalqan wa khuluqan wa mantiqan bi Rasulillah. Oh Allah, bear witness that the young man who has just entered the battlefield, he is the closest in resemblance to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. He went and he fought fearlessly. He entered the battlefield. He killed many of their men until he came back to the tents of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, and he told his father, oh my father, the thirst is killing me. Oh my dear father, I cannot bear this thirst. I can no longer fight because of this thirst. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, he tells him, oh my dear son Ali al-Akbar, Rasulullah very shortly will quench your thirst. Your thirst will be quenched by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. And then he put his lips on his lips, and he told him, look at my lips, look how dry my lips are. And he saw that his father's lips were even more dry than his own, and so he went back into the battlefield. He bid farewell to his family, and he went and fought once again fearlessly, and he was killing many of the enemies. أجركم الله يا مؤمنين At this moment, a wicked enemy strikes Ali al-Akbar on his head. The blood gushes down from Ali al-Akbar's head and it spills onto the eye of his horse. His horse is no longer able to see its direction. It wants to go back to the tent of Imam al-Hussein. Instead, it goes back to the enemy's tent, and the enemies charge Ali al-Akbar, and they strike him from every angle. فَقَطَعُوهُ إِرْبًا إِرْبًا. They cut him into pieces. He called out, يا أبتا هذا جدي رسول الله قد سقاني بكأسه الأوفى شربة لا أظمأ بعدها أبدا. Oh my father, this is Rasulullah. He has come to me, he has quenched my thirst, and I will never be thirsty after today. And then he says, and Rasulullah is telling you, Al-Ajal, Al-Ajal, فَإِنَّ لَكَ كَأْسًا مَذْخُورًا. Al-Ajal, Al-Ajal, come to me, O my grandson Hussein, for you also have a cup that will quench your thirst. وفاضت روحه الطاهرة أين المنادي وعليا ومظلوما وشهيدا. Imam al-Hussein rushes to Ali al-Akbar. He sees him in the state cut up into pieces. He cries out, Bunay Ali ala dunya ba'da kalafa. Oh my dear son Ali, life after you is meaningless. Inna lillah وإنا إليه راجعون ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. أسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم. يا الله 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 يا الله. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج واجعلنا من أنصاره وأعوانه والمستشهدين بين يديه، وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات ومن مات على الهدى والإيمان، ولتعجيل فرج مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان، ولقضاء الحاجات وشفاء المرضى. نقرأ سورة الفاتحة مع الصلوات.